back to A is 26, and then just those two orders using the rules of numerology. And here's what's really interesting. If you run the alphabetic order in reverse, the word Catholic is 145. If you use the rules of numerology, it's 46. 145, 46. Now, the Catholic Old Testament is 46 chapters, different from the Protestant Old Testament, which is, I didn't mean chapters, 46 books, whereas the Protestant Old Testament is 39 books. Now there's 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament than the Protestant Old Testament, and again, Catholics 145 and 46, right? They do so many rituals with these numbers. And you have to think about who the Jesuits are. They're Jews who converted to Catholicism. So they brought with it this understanding of Kabbalah and Gematria, and all these things are happening in the 16th century.
Ignatius Loyola was the first Jesuit.
So look at this.
Had a big dream in a cave.
Yes.
15,
which relates to Kabbalah as well. Kabbalah starts in the cave, supposedly. So Event 201 was the coronavirus pandemic simulation, right? If you look into the Jesuit history, they were banned by the Pope in 1773.
Right.
And the story is that Catherine the Great, who was the leader of Russia at the time, preserved the Jesuit order with 201 Jesuits by taking them in the annexation of Poland and allowing them to continue their work in defiance of the Pope. So it was like a rebel faction of 201. Yeah. Now we're in the time of the first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis. And if you look into this, he's the first ever Pope to live in Suite 201 of the Vatican.
What about Benedict?
So, all right, look at this. Pope Francis in Gematria, when we use the alphabetic order in Roman numerology, equals 59. So does John F. Kennedy, 59. So does Freemasonry. And modern Freemasonry was created in 1717 in the city of London by the Jesuit order, 59 years before 1776. You see? And 59 is the 17th prime. Freemasonry is 59. Mason is 17.
Too many numbers.
Oh, but here, just to go back to the 201 thing. If you write out Ignatius of Loyola, his name is 201. If you write out Jorge Mario Bergoglio, which is Pope Francis' birth name, 201. If you write out Domus Sanctae Marte, that's the name of his apartment that's also Suite 201, Domus Sanctae Marte 201. Event 201 was the coronavirus pandemic simulation, October 18th, 2019, the same day the Military World Games began in Wuhan, China. If you look into the Military World Games, they were created by the Jesuits in Rome, and they began in Rome in 1995. Why 95? Because the Jesuits were created to counter the 95 Theses written by Martin Luther. That's why they were recognized September 27th, 1540, the day leaving 95 days left in the year.
Started to do away with Christianity.
Absolutely, 100%. And that's what. Think about.
They were made to undo all that the Bible had done, or however you say it.
You're 100% right. Now, so here's the icing. Okay, Luke 10:18 is about when Satan comes to earth in the form of a lightning bolt. Luke 10:18, okay? Event 201 was October 18th, 10:18. This same group did one other simulation for a coronavirus pandemic. May 15th, 2018, exactly 666 days before the pandemic was declared March 11th, 2020. Now what's funny is the face of the vaccines on TV is usually Bill Gates. He's the face of everything right now. Vegetable meat, biggest farmer, what should we do about the skies? He's the face of everything, right? But look at this. He established Gavi, his vaccine alliance, July 12th, 1999. That was the 258th day of the year. His full name forwards is William Henry Gates is 201, like Event 201. When you run it in reverse, it's 258, the exact same as Number of the Beast. He established his vaccine alliance on the 258th day of the year. His dad just died September 14th, the 258th day of 2020. These people work in very repetitive patterns. That's why they're coding the Number of the Beast. Do you know that a rapper just put out a shoe called the Satan shoes with blood in the sole? Yeah. So he put out 666 pairs, right? You read this? And he has Luke 10:18 on the shoe, right?
How much
just
like
cost?
$666. I don't know.
Oh, he made them cost $1,018 in tribute to Luke 10:18.
Oh, really?
Just like Event 201 was 10:18.
Yeah.
And Cladex, the related simulation, was 666 days before. Now, here's what I got to tell you about Trump. Trump is Jesuit educated. He went to Fordham. And Trump declared Operation Warp Speed May 15th, 2020, the 2-year anniversary of Cladex. And if you watch Cladex, they rush out vaccines. And the same pharmaceutical companies who have the vaccine were part of the simulations. But they did that exactly. He declared the vaccine thing 2 years to the day. 2 years to the day, right on the number. And the thing about May 15th is that date's written 15/5, like 155. The word Christianity is 155, and you see they're doing these rituals with Revelation and 666 and Luke 10:18. The word coronavirus is also 155. And you think about what the mark is, 666. You have to accept it if you want to participate in the market. What are they doing to everybody right now? You need to wear the mask, which is one letter off from mark, and next thing you'll know, the vaccine.
Is in Revelation 12 and what? 17?
Well, there's debate about it, but they say it's a Greek isopsephy riddle. Isopsephy is the same thing as gematria, just as the Greeks call it. But what's your take on it?
Well, I believe the mark is going to be the day they're all going to come down to what they're going to make you worship on Sunday, the day of the beast.
Sure.
I'm a Seventh-day Adventist.
Sure.
I believe Saturday is God's seal on the Ten Commandments.
Sure.
God's seal was the seventh day. He rested on the seventh day from creating creation.
Mm-hmm.
And the seal of God is the Sabbath day, which is the seventh day or Saturday.
Right.
So what's the Pope do? He's trying to get everybody to come in on all the churches. He's been working for how many decades? Millennia. Well, millennia. I should say hundreds.
Do you know
trying
that,
to get all the church to come in under the Roman Catholic.
Absolutely. Did you know that the Mormons just opened a temple quietly right next to the Vatican?
I didn't know
that. And most Mormons don't even know about it.
Yeah.
You're right. It's a big system.
Nobody knows what's going on.
That's the Jesuit thing, infiltration.
He's been doing this, trying to bring the Muslims in also.
Yeah.
The Pope. He's visited all these Muslim countries. Has never been gone before, and
Well, and they used to be Babylon, and that's really what the Catholic Church is from the Bible, is the whore of Babylon.
Yeah, they're the whore of Babylon.
So
she sits on the beast,
what's
drinking the wine of the wrath of fornication. I forget how that all goes.
Here's what's amazing. If you write out Catholic and Babylon, they have a lot of overlap in gematria. And if you write out Catholic and Babylon, which is the alphabetic order, they both equal 71. If you write out Whore of Babylon with the alphabetic order and rules of numerology, it's 71. There's a lot more to this, but they've encoded our language with the numbers that are significant to them that they perform rituals around. With regards to Catholic being 71, they confirmed the election for Biden on January 7th, right? 7-1. And it was supposed to be January 6th, but that was the Capitol insurrection. So look at this. Do you know who Albert Pike is?
Yeah.
Albert Pike, his statue was torn down June 19th, 2020 in the wake of the George Floyd protests. Now, June 19th is Juneteenth, the day the slaves were freed, right? From the day they tore down Albert Pike's statue to the day of the Capitol insurrection, in light of him being a Confederate and that being all over the news, somebody carrying the Confederate flag. And people don't even understand what the Confederate flag really represents. It also represents freedom. It's more than just racism and all this. But anyway, from the day that they tore down the statue to the day of the insurrection, 201 days later, the word Confederate, when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, is 201. If you write the name George Perry Floyd, who triggered the event, George Perry Floyd with the alphabetic order is 201. And it's all related. The Jesuits come from Paris, France. On the 201st day of 2016, they had the same type of story in Paris, France. An officer killing a black man in the same type of way. On the 201st day of the year, exactly 201 weeks before George Floyd. That's who's behind all this. The Jesuit motto is divide and conquer, and they're bringing all this stuff has to divide us right now. The virus, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, all this push with that's their thing. Order out of chaos. That's why they work in 19-year cycles. COVID-19 in 2020, 19 years before that was 9/11 with 19 hijackers. The moon's on a 19-year cycle. That's why every 19 years, the Hebrew calendar, the holidays fall on the exact same day every 19 years. All of these things are by design. The word chaos equals 19 in gematria. That's why I was telling people in 2013, because I already knew about this, I said, watch, in 2020, it's going to be really bad. There will be a major agenda, because 9/11 was about taking away your rights and liberties and establishing a surveillance state right after cell phones were pretty much in everyone's pocket.
Phony Patriot Act.
And isn't it funny now in 2020, they're calling the patriots who stood up for the rigged election, they're calling them the terrorists. That's the mockery.
Yeah, that's what Rome does, or the Jesuit order. The Jesuit order is what's white is black and what's black is white. They make you think, or they'll get you to believe everything is backwards. And
that's how they have people.
The Masonic way, everything is.
It's all related. The Jesuits created the Masons.
I have friends. I've got several friends. One in particular that's a Mason, 4th degree, Blue Lodge. Well, that's like kindergarten.
Yeah, right. You're at the bottom of the ladder.
He goes around and around with me. Poor guy. I work with him. He's a great guy, but he doesn't know what they're all about. It's a good civic audit, civic people. They do good things for the community, which is great.
That's the front. That's the front, though.
That's the front. But when you get higher and higher and higher in the order,
That's when you find out it's
reach
sinister.
The 20th, no, when you reach the 30th degree, that's when everything turns upside down. That's when they figure out, well, they're so into it, they just do it. But everything's upside down, and that's when they start worshiping.
They're into power and control, and everybody knows about those words.
Lucifer is their god
Yes.
after the 30th degree, and it's just pathetic. I like to listen, learn. I'm all the time learning. Do you know who? No, why don't I know this?
It'll come to you.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, did you see the other day the headline out of Vancouver, BC, that 3 Masonic lodges burned in Vancouver all on the same day? So that just happened on a date with 74 numerology. And I always teach about this number 74. The word Masonic is 74, occult 74, Lucifer 74. The word killing and stabbing are 74. Jefferson and Adams both died July 4th, 7-4, in 1826. And then 1826 days later on July 4th, Monroe died. 3 of the first early presidents all died on 7-4.
I forget what.
Likely,
Poison.
arsenic's been used to kill people all throughout history.
The Jesuits use poison all the time.
And they're known
That's how
for
they
killing
got
with
rid of,
arsenic.
John Paul I.
The 33-day
After
Pope.
30 days.
The 33-day. No, he was the
33?
33-day
Was it
Pope. And here's what's
33?
funny. He went to bed September 27th, which is the day the Jesuits were recognized by Roman history, and died. He did not wake up. His 33rd day as Pope, and in Gematria, arsenic equals 33. It's the 33rd element on the periodic table. You start to look into the history of medicine and hospitals, you start to see all these secret societies run it. Yeah. And that's why there's all this misunderstanding, and that's how they milk society too. How many years are we going to donate to all this research and make no progress, and things get worse, and they tell us that there's no way it's vaccines. There's no way it's vaccines, even though it's just such a joke, you know what I mean? We're just lied to. The liars control it.
You know who Walter Weiss is?
Say that again?
You know who Walter Weiss is?
Oh yeah, he talks about the Jesuits. He's a great man.
He's a same as me, an Adventist, Seventh-day Adventist faith.
I didn't know that. Okay,
he was born and raised a Catholic.
Right, but he's gone against it and he talks about the Jesuits openly.
Yes, you should go in and go into his channel and look where he talks about his how he came out of the Catholic Church. Basically, he had a whole bunch of problems with his family. He had a demon-possessed child. Couldn't figure out what was going on. Had a what do you call it when the priest comes in and
exorcism.
They tried the exorcism thing. That didn't work. Walter Weiss, he's just amazing, and I truly believe everything he says. It's all biblical based. He reads right out of their books. So if you go to YouTube, put in Walter Weiss, and you'll get all of his material. He's got hundreds and hundreds of videos, but he has like a 45 session where he goes from A to Z, and it just explains to you about Jesus, God, and the Jesuits. How the whole thing here we're seeing is a farce. And he tells how he came out of the Catholic Church. He's from South Africa, and he taught in high schools, especially colleges. But he's a teacher, and he was teaching evolution and whatnot. And finally, he had to come to God. That moment, it took him a while to figure it out.
Sure.
Like I say, he had terrible things happen on his family, but anyway, he came out of the Catholic Church.
That's how life is, though.
Waking up,
right.
And now, he's an Adventist preacher, lives in South Africa, but he comes out he has a new video every week, and he's just showing what's going on every day, and out of prophecy, what it all means. It's just amazing. But anyway.
Yeah, he's a great researcher. He does have a really good channel. I'm definitely familiar.
Yeah, it's called Amazing Discovery.
That's right, Amazing Discoveries. That's right.
But anyway, I just love the guy, and every week he's got a new video. Just tell him he's gone through the election. He's hit the vaccine. In fact, that was out of 50 since spring when this thing hit of last year. He's had 50 videos, which once a week. And like number 49 was the very first one that he had banned off of YouTube.
Isn't it crazy how they take this stuff down?
It just happened to be that it was about vaccines.
Sure. Well, that doesn't surprise me at all.
So
I've lost 21 channels to date. I've had 21 taken down.
So yeah, I've
not
lost
videos,
3
channels.
Facebook pages.
I've lost about 10,000 videos in the last 7-8 years.
So you have a channel?
I do. It's this Gematria Effect News. It disappears all the time because I get deleted all the time.
Okay.
So.
Anyway, I've just have a Facebook page that I try to keep going, and that's what I'm gonna do is get you guys' picture if it's okay.
Oh, absolutely,
I'll
can.
Put it on my Facebook page.
I have a website.
What's going on in our town?
I have a website I host. I pay $1,000 a month. It's social media for truth seekers. Free to findtruth.com. No censorship. No fees. No freetofindtruth.com.
I left my
And
pen back in my-
again, I'm trying to get people to just use that website, organize locally, find out who's in their community that cares about things, sees what time it is.
So you're from here?
Well, I'm originally from Portland, but I moved here. My sweet
I
lady
live
goes
here now.
we've been living here since July 2018, and we
Yeah,
love it.
come on.
I'm glad I came here.
Yeah. I don't know how anybody can live in Portland or Seattle.
It used to be a good place, but not anymore.
I'm an old farm kid from Nebraska.
Sure.
I just happened to move out here, actually to Auburn in 2003. I needed a life change.
You're on the other side of the state.
Needed a life change, and actually I found a lady, and I thought I was going to be, start a relationship. But after 9 months, we figured out that wasn't going to
Sure.
work. So I was going to move back to Nebraska, but I found another nice lady, and we ended up getting married.
There you go.
15
See, it was
years
meant to
ago.
be. She got you out here to meet the one you needed to be with.
So it's kind of hard because I have 2 boys still in Nebraska, so I go twice a year.
Sure.
First New Year's and July 4th, I go twice a year
Sure.
back there and be with them. I got a new granddaughter now. It's 3.5. She's a funny little gal. But it's interesting. I'm searching for truth. I found it through Walter Veith. I found it through even Alex Jones. And you have to be careful with some of the stuff he brings up. But
Yeah, he's definitely compromised, but even agents still put out some good information.
I've learned more from that guy and Infowars.com than anybody else there is.
Sure. He's been there for a long
Then
time.
biblical truths for the Bible. I've watched
Sure.
Alex or listened to him for over 20 years. His first videos came out in the 90s, warning about 2000, Y2K,
Right, yep.
and a little bit before that. But,
Late 90s, that's when he started.
so anyway,
After Waco, actually. It was after
yeah,
Waco.
Oh, that's right. That was 95.
Mid 90s, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Oklahoma City was 95, I believe.
It was. And by the way, Timothy McVeigh equals 201. They have their number all over history.
Yeah, it's just the American people are so just overwhelmed with bull on the TV.
That's all it is. Have you ever
They
seen the
can
movie
turn it
Network?
off.
Have you ever seen Network?
What,
I'm mad
the
as
movie
hell and I'm not
network?
gonna take it
yeah,
anymore?
Yeah.
Okay, you want to know something that's real messed up about that? He plays the character Howard Beale, right?
Yeah.
His name was Peter Finch, his actual
Yeah.
actor name.
Yeah.
Howard Beale in Gematria equals 49, so does Peter Finch. He died 49 days after that movie came out, and then he became the first actor to ever win Best Actor after dying at the 49th Oscars or Grammys or whatever it was.
I didn't know he died right after that.
49 days after the movie, and his name and his character name equal 49. And what's crazy is these are not abnormal. This is what they do in Hollywood. You wouldn't believe how many roles Jim Carrey's played or Tom Cruise where their character name's the same as their actor
They're
name.
all Satanists.
That's how you get in the industry.
Yeah,
That
oh, yeah.
It's like you got Bob Dylan. Did you see when Bob Dylan told Ed Bradley on 60 Minutes
Yep.
about how he sold his soul? He said, "I wouldn't be famous." Everybody knows that. When my sweet lady first heard Bob Dylan, my sweet lady's from Burma, right? She couldn't believe when she heard Bob Dylan on the radio. She was like, "How did this guy make?" I said, "Well, just he's kind of interesting, but you're right. He doesn't have the talent."
Well,
That's
look at
why.
all these female artists.
Agreed. A lot of bad talent.
And they've all, in more words than one, more ways than one, they've admitted that they're into Satanism.
You see it. It's so. I mean,
And then other
666
videos,
shoes.
They got go heads and this fire and
That's what they do too.
Pathetic.
That's what they do too. It's a lot of these musicians come out and they appeal to like Disney crowd and they start out nice with a positive message, and then by their
Miley
third
Cyrus.
album, it's like satanic music video, dark. It's like, don't people see how this game works? You let your kid listen to that because 5 years ago their music was positive, but now look at it. Now what they're telling your kid.
well, that's where they're getting all the kids from. How many years ago? Clear back from the
Well,
Mickey
they got
Mouse
society,
Club.
man. This has been going on right for a long time. That's kind of why society is the way it
What's
is.
her name with Mickey Mouse?
Britney Spears?
She was,
Yeah,
was
Britney Spears, exactly.
one of the first, well, not first, but she was an early Mouseketeer.
But almost all these entertainers, if you look into it, were all started out on the Disney Channel, and then they became pop stars and actors and musicians. It's kind of the model.
Yeah, it's
And
pathetic.
if you look into Walt Disney, he was Dame Olay, which was Catholic Church again. So that's Knights Templar. The Jesuits got the Templar cross in their logo. All this stuff's related.
So, I don't know what faith you are.
So I was raised Lutheran, baptized, and now I think of myself as just more open-minded. I don't necessarily know that Christianity is the truth, but I absolutely think that Jesus' teachings are correct, and more people need spirituality, and everybody needs to live by the golden rule and be a service and about be more than themselves. So, I mean, I'm a Christian at heart, but it's just I met so many people who are Muslim or Jewish who are good people. I used to teach in South Seattle, and half the parents in there were Muslim, and I found out they cared more than the American parents. They were foreigners and Muslims, but they were there. They wanted to learn more. They wanted to support their kid. I said, look at this. Our news is hating on these Muslim people, but these parents really care, and they're nice and they're friendly. And again, it's a cultural thing. So it's just like, In America, though, they've taught us bad values. They've taught us bad values. They've misled us.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to say, man, we got to unify, man. We're all in the same boat together. Times are bad. The Jesuits are truly working against humanity, which is a lot to explain to most people.
If you really dig into it, and Walter Weiss will tell you this, the Jesuits run just about every
They do. They
part
run it.
of our government.
The Illuminati. Adam Weishaupt was Jesuit educated.
Yeah.
By the way, Adam Weishaupt died 201 days after the anniversary of the establishment of the Bavarian Illuminati. He established it May 1st, 5-1. We know what May 1st is, May Day and all the stuff that goes down. He died November 18th, which is the 322nd day of the year, 322, the number of Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones takes its symbolism from the Knights Templar who serve Rome, and that's why the Jesuits have the Templar cross. All this stuff's related. But Adam Weishaupt died 201 days after the anniversary of the establishment, and he called it the Order of Illuminati. At first it was Bavarian Illuminati, but then like 2 months later he changed it to Order of Illuminati, which is 201, just like the Jesuit order.
Yeah. Pretty amazing.
Oh, and by the way, same with the whole Civil War and Confederate. If you look into the history of the U.S., that's when Washington, D.C. became a corporate entity. 1871, shortly after the Civil War, when they bankrupted the nation, private funds came in and corporatized D.C. We don't even understand that. Our federal city is an independent city-state ruling over us.
Walter Weiss just brought that out a few weeks ago in one of his, and he goes for an hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes each program, getting in depth. He just brought all this up on his show.
I have a book about this.
About how we are, we're a corporation. The United States is a corporation, and we've been in trouble ever since, including the Federal Reserve, 1913. The taxes started in 1913, same year. That was FDR, wasn't it?
Well, FDR brought in a lot of new taxes and agencies, and I mean, really grew the federal government. I mean,
he had an inside. He had a sidekick. He was a Jesuit that helped him do all
it's
this
the Jesuit city. D.C., the Jesuits have been in D.C., Georgetown and all that longer than the federal government's been there. Yeah. And D.C. used to be called Rome on the Potomac, and the land was owned by a man named Francis Pope, not to be confused with Pope Francis. That's how you can see that what we're living out is so planned.
The White House area was given by some guy named White. I think
yeah, that too. That's true. That's why it's named White House.
Catholic.
Right, 100%.
Yeah, it's all.
So here, I'll tell you something else. I think our whole history is a lie, honestly.
Yep.
I think they set up this beautiful idea, but had all the things in place to kind of keep us, like we have to fight for it to get there, and we've never really made that effort. I think we've just been lied to and made complacent all along the way. But there's a reason there were 56 signers on the Declaration of Independence. You know that's the number, right? 56?
I didn't know. I don't know.
If you look it up, that's what it is. There's 56 signers. As a kid, I loved numbers, and I'd ask things like that. I'd be like, why 56? Why not 50 or 60? Like, what's 56? I guess my teachers would be like, well, it's probably just so many people there were. It's not. It's not. In gematria, if you write out Washington, D.C., it equals 56. If you write out Society of Jesus, it equals 56. The two Trump impeachment theaters, and that's what it was in theater, exactly 56 weeks apart, right? And at the same time, Biden said he demanded Trump get rid of 56 federal judges he appointed, and they said that the approval, or they said 56% of America wanted to see Trump convicted. They've been putting this number 56 everywhere. Gavin Newsom, who's Jesuit educated, he was the first governor to lock down a state last March. He led the way. And when he locked down California, he said 56% of California will get coronavirus in 8 weeks, which is 56 days. Well, if you write out Gavin Newsom, it's 56. If you write out coronavirus, it's 56. If you write out Anthony Fauci, it's 56. Here's what's messed up, though. Trump's Jesuit education began in 1964, 56 years before 2020. And when he declared the national emergency on March 13, 2020, it was a date with 56 numerology. They've done so many rituals of the 56. I'm giving you a really short list. There's about a bazillion on there. Yeah. It's just these people are so ritualistic, and it's because they're Kabbalists. That's why they call it the Cabal. But, and again, Kabbalah is about the pursuit of light, Illuminati.